Hey, welcome back to the channel. I did some training today and it was pretty decent. It wasn't heavy, but some decent training where I got some sweat in. It's really nice because, this is my 33rd year on the mat. I started in 1991 with wrestling. And then I did, judo, jujitsu for the last few years. Did judo right out of collegiate wrestling and then came back to judo, back in my 40s. And after the knee injury, I spent a lot of time off the mat, so it really felt like crap, to not be able to grapple again. So it's nice to be back. So I go over and I check my phone, and my DMs, man, were completely exploded, and it was like all these people telling me the same thing. Placido made a video of you, like a rant video. It's like, you got to see this. And I was like, oh God. So I go and I look, and it's an hour long. It's an hour long rant video about me, about why don't I like him, like that I make other username accounts or something like that and respond to his posts. Like, I'm like that I'm obsessed with him. Like, dude, you're the one that made a 50-minute video. Like, I don't think I'm obsessed with you at all. I showed a 3-second long video clip of you posting your hand on the mat, and then I showed a video of me in wrestling, the counter to that when somebody posts their hand on the mat. And man, that video is so long. So let me show you at least some of the things as to where this comes from, because I am not going to make a 50-minute video for you. So what I was showing here, this guy was like not letting go of my leg, right? And I was doing all the right stuff. I was stuffing his head, covering it with my hips, or at least trying to. I was going shoelaces down at a lot of the point. I had to keep, we went all the way around the mat. We were circling around the mat. And I said it wasn't until he posted his hand on the mat that he gave me the counter to what was happening, right? Because I couldn't break his grip. And it's 3 seconds long of Placido's hand on the mat. And I said, don't put your hand on the mat, because you'll get your back taken. And it's because once you post your hand to the mat like that on the single, what happens is my weight, I can shift it back more, and it plants your hand. Okay, so I know what he was trying to show, but he's lost the position now. The same thing that's going to happen to this guy is what would happen to him. Okay, and I'm just using it as an example. Okay, he was all mad that I didn't use his name, that I didn't tell people where he trained, that he's a coach, and like all this stuff, like really hurt his ego that I showed a 3-second long post of just like, don't post your hand to the mat. Now, part of it's because, and admittedly, I shouldn't have, I could have used different wording. I said people who don't know how to wrestle are telling you to post your hand on the mat. What I should have said was people without a wrestling background are telling you to post your hand on the mat, and it's going to get you in trouble. And I've been coaching a long time. Okay, 25 years. Placido's like 31 years old. So I've been coaching since you were 6 years old. Okay. So in wrestling, of all things. And so there are things that you teach people when they don't know how to wrestle, what to do. And they are basic things that keep them out of trouble. The system would have been for that guy to try to cut the corner, which he clearly was trying to do. Placido knows how to cut the corner. I'll get to that in a minute because he made a video on that. Cut the corner. If that doesn't work, you do a cutback. Okay. I've shown this on my channel. At least I showed it on the instructional. You do a cutback. If that doesn't work, right? Like, let's say the guy breaks your grip, you go to the drag, or you actually do it on purpose and you go to the drag. But if the guy's sliding back, right? And I know that that's an early defense thing. My 4 fingers can't hold on to the back of his leg very well. Okay. And so these are things that get people into trouble. They watch elite people because watch this. Okay. This is the whole point of my channel. Okay. Seriously. And the whole point, I've been coaching kids forever. I did wrestle at a very high level. Okay. I was D1. I was a state champion freestyle wrestler, and my collegiate wrestling coach was literally the best wrestling coach in the country. He was the world team head coach, and he was the Olympic team head coach. You don't get any better than that. And his system was also very simple in terms of being like, don't give the guy ammo. If you put your hand to the mat, you get stuck there because all the weight now is on the hand. And I said, and I was trying to be succinct with it, that, some elite guys, will get up underneath it, right? And then he just showed a bunch of elite people doing things, right? But like you don't want to give people ammo that they didn't already have. If you shoot in on a shot and you're just starting to lose the shot, dude, you're way better off cutting the corner or something. Okay. So I didn't have to use him as an example. It was only 3 seconds long. I didn't show his name on purpose, and frankly, I don't want to hurt the guy's feelings that bad. It clearly hurt his feelings and bruised his ego super bad. So I won't use him as an example anymore of what not to do. But when you haven't wrestled and he does not have a wrestling background, what happens is you don't know what you don't know. And then you teach things that get people into trouble. I've seen this a lot in the 25 years that I've coached. Okay. This is that people try to teach people who don't know how to wrestle what elite people do, and they can break the rules because they're that different. Vito Arujau crosses his ankles. Nobody would teach you to do that, right? So that's a good example. Another, like in Jordan Burroughs, he used Jordan Burroughs as an example. Kyle Day, Kyle Seminelli, like these are all really high level people, like, and they already have awesome fundamentals, but anyway, so so he went on and on about a history of me, history of why I don't like things. And I just want to quickly show you a few things. Okay, so my second video that I showed, right, was me teaching how to finish the outside single. And I know that I teach this a little different than a lot of people. The way that I collapse my lat over this, the way that I never come up to the waist. Because when I started doing jujitsu, everybody teaches you to come up to the waist. And I say, you don't want to do that. That gets you into the dogfight. So I always teach people to finish low. And so that's what I was doing. Placido comes over to my page. Oh, by the way, this was May 25th, 2022. Okay. So Placido comes on my page, says, wow, this is really great. I'll be following. And then he shows it the identical way that I do he made a point out of it. Don't come up to the waist, stay low. If you come up to the waist, you end up in the dogfight, like all of these things, right? Which is fine. And then Dom and I just poked a little fun at him, and I said, that's textbook finish. It works at all levels, which it does. And I said, it looks pretty familiar though, like really familiar, because this was September. This was after I did my video. And so I was just kind of digging them a little bit because it was like, you guys, they do take technique from everybody else and make it your own, and I tell everyone, I say, like, that's the John Smith way of finishing it. I call the body lock that I do with I step in the middle, the Saris body lock. And I'll get to that in a second because I learned it from Andy Saris. I always give credit to people where it does. So Dom digs into him a little bit. He says, I don't know who this is, but this is probably him making other user accounts. Like, I'm not doing that. Don't be a lawyer because you do a lot of speculation without any evidence of anything. I don't do that kind of shit, man. And so Dom says, like, didn't Breza show this like a few months ago? And I think that you liked it too, right? So I would have just addressed him on his video about this, but he deletes my comments. Okay. And a friend of mine who's a judoka posts on his videos all the time about judo that he's doing or supposed judo that he's doing. And he deletes his comments like almost immediately. And so my friend posts a comment and takes screenshots of it. And I'm not going to bring him into this because I don't want to use his name on this thing, but like, ain't nobody making multiple username accounts, bro. Nobody thinks about you that much, just so that you know. Man, his ego is so shattered. We're just playing, man. Like, we're just playing with you a little bit. Like, you clearly didn't grow up in, like, so wrestlers play with people a lot. Okay. Like we do. And so, like, so the last thing that I wanted to show was the side body lock thing, because he was butthurt about the side body lock video that I made with John Danaher teaching the side body lock. And the only reason I do this because John has a very big responsibility to teach good technique. Okay. And when you have a big responsibility of teaching good technique or a big platform, you can't go showing stuff that's going to get people into trouble. Okay. Because, like, as a wrestling coach, like, I know what people do all the time, which is bad, which is coming up to the single leg and off the single leg, they come up to the body lock and it gets them into a ton of trouble. Okay. And so here, these guys were, getting restarted from this position. Right. And that was because and so when your leg is on the inside like that, you have all the power. And the Uchimata comes from it. In wrestling, we just call it a whizzer kick. So I made this long ADCC video about this, talking about the and that was after I did the Danaher video because Reddit blew up. People like cried all over Reddit. I thought their tears were going to short the internet out about what does this guy know? What does he know? What does he know about wrestling? And like these things just crack me up, man, because like I I like wrestlers are always like it's a sport where people mess with you all the time. And like, clearly like it just doesn't translate, to some people. Well, I mean, I don't want to say that because I have friends that are jujitsu guys that are the same way, but like just poking a little fun at you, man. And like, and to completely lose it. Like the reason I learned, by the way, that side body lock position, there's a lot of details. Okay. And when you don't have a wrestling background, you don't know what you don't know. And I don't care how much you've watched film, like he studies film, like I said in another video that I did. I don't give a shit how much film that you've studied. If you've never done it, then you're not an expert in it. Like I can watch kung fu film. That doesn't mean that I'm a kung fu expert. That's literally the worst argument ever that like John's watched a lot of video. I will say this though, and I'm a huge John Danaher fan. John is very cerebral and he's very good at watching things, but he's making the same kinds of mistakes that a lot of people make when they never actually did the sport. If you go to the side, so here's why I don't like transition from single to side body lock. Okay. I've said this probably 10 times already on my channel, but people have dementia. So if you come up to, as you're pushing, when you're coming up to the single, because this is when it often happens when you're going to stand up from it and they pull you up, right? If you're still pushing, that's when you get the guy has the inside leg position, hip position. You load yourself up to his hips, and that's when you get thrown. Okay. So, as a coach for a long time, right? I've been a wrestling coach since Placido was 6 years old. Okay. He's 31 years old, right? I'm 44. I started wrestling in 91. Okay. I've been coaching for 25 years. When you see this is the same thing that plays out over and over and over again with people who aren't good wrestlers. So I use the ADCC video to show multiple examples of people all making the same high school wrestling mistake. Okay. Now, it wasn't directed at John. The reason that I did is because John has a giant platform and a giant responsibility to show good technique if he's going to show it. Do you think that I would ever, ever, ever say anything about John Danaher's jiu-jitsu? Hell no. The guy is the freaking jiu-jitsu man. He is the man. Okay. He's the best, but his wrestling isn't the best. And when you teach people things that are going to get them in trouble, like that position, right? You're better off if you lose this single is to step in the middle and do the Saris body lock. Okay. The Greco body lock, because now you block the Uchimata. I've talked about this in a number of different ways. I've showed it on my channel. It's on my instructional, right? Then the Reddit people blew up all over it and talked about how like Kyle Dake does it. And I'm like, Kyle Dake is doing what he's supposed to do, which I, by the way, showed on that video, number 25, the Danaher video, right? Which don't come up to the side body lock, is if you do transition to side body lock, you have to pull people into your lap and then you pop your hips at the last second. You can't lift them up and bring them down like a traditional mat return, or else you end up in the dog fight because he has the whizzer. Okay. So these are the details that matter when it comes to wrestling and teaching wrestling. Okay. And so, all right, fine. Like, I don't need to use people as examples, but when something's familiar to them and you use it as an example, it can kind of, it hits home or whatever. But, fine, if somebody's gonna, get heart palpitations over something like this, I just won't do it, man. Like, we all love you. Everybody loves Placido. He's Danaher's uke. Nobody's obsessing over you, following, or whatever. And man, dude, you talk about me having bipolar, bro. That video made you sound like you needed crazy pills. I'm just saying. I know it's because you're worked up, dude, but ain't nobody thinking about you outside of here, man. So anyway, love you, man. Still love you. Jesus loves you. The world loves you. Everybody loves you. You know, relax, man. Like, we're just trying to teach some wrestling. Dom and I are fucking big jokesters. We're just playing a little fun. You know, we won't show any more well, that was me, not him. 3 second long video clips of you so you don't need to get that upset anymore. And, you know, just check it a little bit, man. You know what I mean? Like, you can't take yourself too seriously in the world. Your ego gets too involved in all that kind of stuff, or else, you know, just it's okay, man. You know. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like I said, I would post on his page, but he'll just delete my comments, so I can't. But till next time, man, you know, like keep it chill, keep it easy.